Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stress Free IEP, the show where we help families build their village so they can raise their neurodivergent children with confidence, clarity, and support. I'm your host, Frances Schefter, special education attorney, advocate, and fellow parent walking this journey with you. Whether you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube or listening later on your favorite podcast app, we're so glad you're here. Let's dive in and meet today's amazing guest. For almost three decades, David Pisarra has been fighting for the rights of fathers. He is the premier educator to dads of how to get more time with their children in family court. His book, Dad's Child Custody Action Plan, has helped thousands of dads in their battles to be an active and engaged parent. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, Francis. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here because it's something that even in more recent years has been a huge thing. I've been contacted by a lot of dads to help them with special education when going through a divorce because their rights aren't being heard all of the time.
Absolutely. And one of the hardest things that I have to teach dads is how to show up in court and be assertive, but not be aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that if you're advocating for your children, as I'm sure you know, you have to be assertive. You have to get in there and press because, you know, the system, whether it's a school system or a medical system or the judicial system, they're all designed to kind of like, just go along, just say yes, just do what we want you to do. And it's like, no, you know your kid better than anybody else. And you have to get in there and kind of tussle it up. But you also can't get in there and be like yelling and screaming because you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot, right? I mean, You've got to be able to get in there and assertively express your opinion and why you're doing what you're doing and what you're asking for. And so when I'm teaching dads that, it's very much a new skill for a lot of them. They're used to it in like the business environment, but all of a sudden when it's their kids, it's a whole other ball game because you got all those emotions, all that protective big bear daddy thing coming in. And it's like, okay, love the energy. Let's redirect that a little bit.
Exactly. I have to hold my husband back every now and then. I'm like, no, honey, we don't need to go that bad. Like I've got this. Like, he's protective of his daughters as he should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there's that fine line of being assertive and also like finding the data and having the support behind you.
Sure.
So like not just going in and saying like, this is what my kid needs. It's like, look, here's what you all said in your report. This is what my kid needs based on what you said.
Right. And that's a skill that a lot of parents don't have because they're not used to working in the legal world where we take data and we massage it. We learn how to present it in a way that is most effective. And that's the goal, is to give dads, from my perspective, the skills they need so they can represent themselves in court so they get the time that they want and that their kids deserve.
Right. Yeah. And that's so important because it's hard. Like the court, sits there and has to listen to what mom says and what dad says. And I know from way back when I did family law, there's 3 sides to every story: his, hers, and the truth.
At least.
Right?
At least 3 sides.
And the judge is trying to figure out which is which. And that's where being assertive, not aggressive, but being in that right mindset in court, as well as at an IEP meeting, is what's so important because you're heard better when you come from that assertive, I'm advocating, but I'm not attacking you. I'm not putting you down. It's I'm advocating for the child.
Right. And what a lot of times I found is very helpful is when I can get a dad to understand that you need to have a villain. We need to have a villain to attack. It's not the person across the table from you. The villain is what's in the best interest of your kid. Like that's what we need to attack.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the system, which is what, the education system or the legal system, because it's not perfect, as we all know. It's better than it was, but it still has a lot of work. And it's how to play the game, per se, of the system, right?
Absolutely.
In order to get the goals.
Absolutely. And the hard part is that the game keeps changing. And because as your child ages, they're going to be at different developmental stages. They're going to have different developmental needs. You're going to have a different, IEP evaluator at this year versus next year, maybe. Maybe you got different teachers and they get different personalities. And then you've got judges who have their own biases. And there's just a lot of moving parts.
Right. And it's learning how to go with the flow, but still keep in mind what the end goal is. And I know, even happily married couples have difference of opinion sometimes on what should be happening for their child in the classroom. And so,
100%.
right, when you're getting divorced, it's that much harder because now what? Because there's other emotions in there since now that you're divorced and all that other stuff. And so how do we come to the table and truly focus on the best interest of the child? So when presenting it either in an IEP meeting or at court, whichever it may be, you're presenting it as, I'm not a bitter dad against my ex-wife. I'm a concerned dad with data to support what I want for my child and why I think it's the best interest.
100%. And it's a very difficult thing to set aside the emotion of it and understand that you've got to maintain calmness and recognize that anger is going to cost you everything in court.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things that men need to recognize is that tears will cost you in court. I'm going to get a little spicy here.
That's all right.
They're a very strong weapon for women. When a woman cries, judges just melt.
Yep.
They're like,
100%.
Oh, you're the victim. Oh, you're overwhelmed with emotion. Oh, we have to protect you. A man cries, buck up, buddy. Like, I don't want to see your emotions.
100%.
What are you doing? And a lot of times, unless you've got a judge who's, fairly open-minded, they're going to use that against you.
Yeah.
And it's a sad state of affairs, but it's a reality.
Right.
And dads need to know that.
Right. It's also being assertive. Women, sometimes the way a woman says it, it's being assertive, but the way the man might say the same thing, but it sounds more aggressive.
Right.
Because
Very
of
much
body
so.
language, like it's that, which I hate, but it's the reality. It's who we are. It's our society that certain things, it's not always, like I say to my husband all the time, it's not what you're saying, honey, it's how you're saying it.
And sometimes it's not even how you're saying it, it's how they're hearing it.
Yep.
Because judges have, and I'm assuming that, social workers have their own biases too, and the school evaluators have their own biases. A man's voice, deeper, a little bit more forceful, it's just by nature is going to come across that way as more aggressive. Yep. So I have to teach dads, like, listen, you may need to tone that down. Because I've got guys who come in and, when men join my VIP program, they're in various stages of the process. Sometimes they come in and they just got hit with paperwork and they're in crisis and they're like, ah, and I got okay, breathe, calm down. We got you. Let's get through this first phase and get you to the point where you can actually start hearing things. And then it's coaching them on presentation. And there are guys who come in and they're used to being hard charging, foreman of the general lot that's being built. Right. They're used to just I say something and it gets done and I'm not being angry. I'm just being forceful. Great. That works when you're on a construction site.
Right.
Not so well in a courtroom.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, it's I say that's a problem with our education system also all the time is they don't teach kids how to you can do this when you're hanging with your friends. You can do this when you're at school. You can't do this when you're on a job interview.
Right.
The same thing. It's
we teach them inside voice, outside voice, but we don't always teach them all the other gradations.
Exactly. Inside and outside is volume. It's not no, that is so true. Right. It's so true. So you said your VIP program. So what is it? How do you specifically help dads?
So we have basically 3 levels of assistance for dads. And the first is sort of a DIY program. And I've got my books, Dad's Child Custody Action Plan and Dad's Child Support Action Plan. And these are sort of very basic. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to show the judge. And a lot of guys are at the financial level where that's all they can afford. And they start there at the books. And then they go up a level. And I've got video courses that are companions to those for discovery, evidence, the child custody plan that goes into greater detail, child support, greater detail. We have a child custody 101, which explains legal custody, physical custody, the umbrella of custody. In 20 minutes, I'm going to cover the basics for you.
Right.
That's our VIP video course, the Family Court Battle Pack that comes with both books and our videos. And then the actual VIP program is all of my books, all of my videos, plus how to do objections, how to do contempt, how to use evidence in court. And then we have weekly group coaching where dads come on and we do a Zoom session for 2 hours every week. We talk about what's going on in their case, what's the strategy, how are you doing your discovery, writing your declaration, because that declaration, as I tell dads, that's your first impression to the judge. It's not when you walk in the courtroom. Your first impression is your paperwork. And if that's done well, the judge is already going to like you. But if you do a poor job on that, the judge is going to come in and be like, well, mom's giving me an encyclopedia of everything you've ever done wrong in your entire life. And you're saying you're a great dad, but you got to give me more. And so when we do the declaration, we're explaining to the judge why you're a great dad, what your relationship is like, how you discipline your kids, how well do you know them, what's the depth of your ability to be a parent. And we do that in our VIP program. And the other real benefit of the VIP program is the community. It's dads who are going through the loss of a marriage or the loss of a relationship, isolation from their kids, fear because she's telling him, you're never going to see your kids. I'm taking them away from you and you're a horrible human being. I'm taking all your money. And not true, but the fear is what cripples them and overwhelms them. And so when they come into the program and our weekly meetings, they're sharing that. They're hearing from 5 other guys like, oh yeah, the exact same thing happened to me. I was there 2 months ago. You're going to be fine. And it's the process of getting them to, like I said, they come in really in crisis, getting them to calm down so that now we can move forward. And that's our VIP program.
Yeah. And I love that because, there's so many moms groups out there, and there aren't dads groups, right? Like it's just, dads need support too. Like I'm always with my husband. I'm like, oh, can you just go talk to some other dads? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's wonderful. He's fabulous. He's supportive. He gets frustrated when he's parenting with certain things. I'm like, you just go talk to other dads about like what it's like, because it's so helpful for me, even with all my background and my education and stuff, just sitting with other moms having a coffee is so helpful to just know you're not alone.
And the reality is, women have so many great places for them to create their community. And it's everywhere from getting your nails done, getting your hair done, being in the park, going for coffee, the women's group, like all of that stuff. Heck, you guys go shopping and you're best friends with the salesperson in like 3 hours. Like, I don't understand it, but I just see it.
Right.
Guys, we don't have that. It's like you go to the bar, you sit there, you drink your beer, you talk about the Dodgers for 3 hours. You haven't even learned the guy's name who's you've been talking to, let alone anything that's actually important or vulnerable. And then you go home and you pass out. You wake up the next morning, you do it all over again.
Yeah. And you don't, exactly. No, it's so true. And, guys need support also. We all do. It's so important that, we're humans. And it's that, like, that's part of what's wrong with our society. One of the things, right? Is like how we
100%.
Women, men, and different. And we're not that different in some ways.
We're not. And the other thing that I'm seeing on a societal level, I'm so old that I remember things like the Rotary Club and the Elks Club and the Lions Club.
Yeah.
The Optimist Club, like all of those things that they served a social purpose of we're going to do good works, which was great. But the real benefit of those clubs was the community they built.
Yeah.
It was oh, I'm seeing John every Friday for lunch at the Rotary Club. And yeah, maybe we're going to do some business at some point over the years. But the reality is, I'm learning who his family is. He's learning who my family is. We're checking in once a week. And just that little bit of community is what kept things going so well for so many years. And as we've gotten to the point where everybody is living in their own little silos, everything's online, there's an app for everything. I can have my community because I'm checking in with 43 people I'm texting, none of whom do I actually get to see in person. It's a very different experience. And as a consequence, I think loneliness is hitting everybody. And women have less of it, I would think, but I think that they still have a lot of it.
Oh, we
and
do.
men are just
It's
getting
still, yeah. I mean, you
men are
said
just
something
getting
about the shopping the
inundated.
other day, right? You said something about shopping the other day, and it's like I get so overwhelmed when I go shopping these days. I'm like, I used to love going shopping, but now it's like I get so overwhelmed because of whatever reasons, too crowded, too busy, too this, too that, that I'm like, why am I out shopping? I can just go online and do it in a third
Right.
of the time, a fraction of the time, and boom, 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 find everything I need because it's not like only what the store has in stock. And
Yeah.
it's taking that human touch out that is so needed by all of us.
Absolutely. And then you layer on the fact that more and more people are working from home, and our only real interaction is this through a
Yep.
camera. Great, nice. It worked well-ish during the pandemic because it got us through a rough patch, but I don't think we're necessarily built to do that all the time forever.
No. And so many are still
You know,
doing it that way.
we're tribal people. I mean, we're tribal
Yeah.
creatures. We
Yep.
always
Yeah.
have been, and we really need to have that sense of community, which is really one of the big benefits for guys who are in the VIP program. We've got the weekly group coaching. We've got our private WhatsApp group for the in-between meetings where they're texting each other, and sometimes it's really important stuff. Like, I'm going into court. I'm scared. What do I do? How do I handle this? Okay, breathe. Here, you've done the training. You know what to do. And other times it's like, watch the stupid video, right? To like take the pressure off. Like there's just
Of
some
course.
goofy stuff that happens, and there's always the inevitable really bad dad joke.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have
But
to,
it's a way in which these guys are connecting with each other. And we've had guys who have reached out when they're in real crisis. We had a couple guys over the years who have been on the verge of doing really something stupid. We've had guys who are like, I can't take this anymore. I just want to check out. And it's like, hold up. We're not going to let you make a permanent decision for a temporary situation. And so I know that there's a real benefit to the community because I've seen it, and I've seen the guys actually grow. And maybe we've had guys who come in and they're scared and they're nervous, and 6 months, or 9 months or a year later, we've clawed back custody. We've gotten them to like 50-50, and they're seeing their kids regularly. And that's the important part.
Right.
That's why we do it.
And so do your groups, do you like start like a certain group so they just stay the same? You know what I mean?
Funny
like,
you should mention that.
Yeah.
Funny you should mention that. The VIP program is a rolling enrollment. So we've got guys who come in and go out. And that's sort of like, it's like you come in, you've got the books, you've watched the videos, and you may have court 6 months or a year down the road, and we're kind of strategizing. We're just rolling out a new thing. It's supposed to launch the end of this month, called the War Room. And it's a 10-person cohort. It's 10 guys over 4 weeks. And we're going to intensely go through what their case is, what's their case strategy. They're going to go through the videos. They're going to go through the program. I'm going to work with them, get them coached up so that if they've got a hearing coming up, and the goal is, if you've got a hearing in like 45, 60, 90 days, you need to get up to speed right now. You can't afford to go slowly. That's what the War Room is. It's like, okay, let's get you up to speed quick. And the reason why it's only 10 guys is because I want to have the ability to really serve them well. And with a 10-person unit, we can do that.
Yeah. I also see it as being more comfortable for them to open up more. Do you know what I mean? Because like they're now their own cohort. Like we all know details about everyone. Whereas if you
Right.
have people coming and going in a big group, I don't know who Joe Smith is who just joined. And oh,
Yeah.
darn, Chris, whatever, left. And I wanted to talk to him about this. And it's not as intimate. And so
Yeah.
having that warm room, like I know for me, when I've seen groups when it's more intimate and I know it's the same people and I know we're safe and secure, I'm going to open up a little bit more about what's really going on.
Right. And that's part of the goal, is to get these guys to really be able to discuss what's going on in their life. Because
Yeah.
the more that they discuss that, the less stress there is around it, the stronger they'll be when they walk into court.
Right. And that's the thing, like, we were saying before, it's like men are expected to be strong, suck it up, buttercup, figure it out.
Right.
But they need to be able to share their vulnerabilities, share their fears, because you can't do your job as a coach if you don't know what they're truly worried about.
Right. Exactly.
And you can't strategize if like you're really concerned about, well, my son, he's got this game every Friday night and my wife is saying that I can't go, and like, what do? I don't want her to start stuff. Like, how do I handle that? you know
Absolutely. One of the big things that we run into is the conflict between parents around special needs.
Oh yeah.
When they're seeing them, and a lot of times the guys they want to jump in and they want to be controlling and they want to just protect. And it's like, wait, we have to like really understand what's really going on with the kid and what's really going to serve that child. Mom might be overreacting. Mom might be right.
Yeah.
You might be overreacting. You might be right. Let's take a look at what's really going on. We've got that going on with a lot of our dads, particularly of boys. The boys seem to have more than the girls, and I don't know whether that's just a real thing or whether it's societal bias, but I'm seeing more and more of the boys are being, he's got ADHD, he needs to be on drugs.
Yeah.
And the dads are like, no, he needs more recess time, make him go run around, burn off my energy, then he can sit in the chair and pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is true with special needs. It's the kids, the girls, it is more boys are labeled because the girls kind of fly under the radar more. So
I've heard
girls tend to internalize their ADHD is they're zoned out and everybody says they're daydreaming, but it's truly ADHD. Whereas the boys have that hyperactivity and can't sit still. And so that's what gets noticed. And that's annoying the teacher. And so that's going to get, the attention of like something needs to happen. But it's true. Like I see it, and I see it both ways. Like I see dads that are like in denial. Nothing's wrong with my son. My son is perfect. There's nothing. I see 100%. Moms that are coddling a little bit too much and like not making them independent. And I've seen it the other way around. I've seen dads be too protective of like, no, you can't do that. My kid needs this, this, and this. It goes every single way. And when you have parents, again, like even when they're together, there's differences of opinions. When you throw divorce in, now you have difference of opinion. So how do we convince the judge, convince the school, come to that agreement of what's best for our child, that we're truly focused on the child and not bringing all the divorce stuff in?
Right. And that's a very hard dynamic to go through because you've got so many different factors. And what I always do is I always say like, okay, can we step back for a second and step through this and see what's really going on with the child? Because maybe they really do just need more exercise. Like my nephew, he's my adopted nephew, not really my nephew, but he's a typical 9-year-old boy. He is bouncing off the walls just like his father. They've got way too much energy. And they're all over the place. But it's amazing when you put him in swimming classes and BJJ and parkour, all of a sudden his ability to focus goes through the roof.
Yep.
Like an hour of swimming, and all of a sudden the kid can sit down and focus. Does he really need drugs, or does he really just need a different style of learning, which is what used to happen? Yep. And things have changed over the years. And in my opinion, I mean, I'm old, but I think we should probably go back to some of the old school stuff.
Oh yeah. I agree. I mean, I tell the story often when I taught kindergarten many moons ago. I had twins, and one of the twins was just always bouncing off the walls, and he was making me crazy. And so finally, I was like, you know what? Do me a favor, go up on that counter and take down that bulletin board. And he's like, okay. He's up on the counter taking down the bulletin board. I'd stop in the middle of the lesson and ask him any question, and he knew exactly where we were and what the answer was. He
Yeah.
just needed to be doing something else. Like his mother's like,
Right.
how did you get him learning? I'm like, this. And she's like, I love it. Like it was the
Yeah.
best. But that was the thing. It was like I had that ability to be able to see what this child need and adapt my teaching to what he needed so that he could stay focused.
Right.
Unfortunately, today's teachers aren't always afforded that. And it's
And I
challenging.
wonder why that is. Is this just the constant drum of standardized testing, and we have to teach to the test, and we're just trying to like make things quantifiable and put them in a 23 question checklist that we can then evaluate the teacher's performance?
Pretty
Maybe. I
much.
I don't know.
It is, it is. It's teaching to the test. It's also, oh, we have to get through this curriculum, and teachers are weighted on, coming into the classroom, doing one observation, the principal coming in and doing an observation, or the assistant principal, and did you get through the curriculum? Did you teach them all? Are all these boxes checked? Nobody comes in and check, has the child actually learned?
Oh,
Where is the
that
child? Is the child actually socially doing okay? Where are they emotionally? It's not, it's, yes, schools are supposed to be focused on academics, but there is so much more to just the academics. And our country, our society has gotten so grades focused. Like everybody's supposed to get straight A's. If you're not getting straight A's, what's wrong with you? Whereas
right.
if you go out in the real world, nobody's getting straight A's and everything. We have our English people, we
Certainly
have
not.
our math people, right? Like they're not cross, our accountants aren't going and painting a picture, like, and our artists aren't going and balancing a checkbook. And that's okay. But it's like society has gotten very like, here's the standards that everybody needs to learn, and this is how we're grading everybody.
Which I think
And
is
it's
a huge disservice to everyone,
100%, 100%.
because
If you,
we don't let the artist really flourish, and
yep,
we don't let the accountant really flourish.
exactly. Exactly. If you grade an elephant on how he climbs a tree, he's going to fail every single time,
Yes,
you know? And that's, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, is the education system and how it needs to change. But it's true. Like, I mean, my kids know, like, I care more about their emotional well-being than the grades, and I care more about that they're learning. Do you know the
yeah,
material? Yes. Okay. Why didn't you turn in the assignment? Because I forgot to. Okay. So you have a D in
right,
the class. Okay. But you know what you were supposed to know, and that's more important than getting straight A's. Whereas
absolutely.
some kids have straight A's because they know how to regurgitate everything, but 6 months down the road, ask them a question about it, and they don't know. They learned it for the test.
And more importantly, they don't have any ability to analyze.
Yep.
They can't then actually synthesize information, and that's the important part from my perspective. Because
Right.
you're in Maryland, I went to St. John's College. I
Yeah.
grew up, I was in Annapolis, where it's all about how do you analyze information? How do you then synthesize it? How do you come up with new ideas as a consequence? And that's one of the
Exactly.
benefits of good schooling, is because it then gives you a tool that you can then use for the rest of your life. Who really cares whether or not you know what the Pythagorean theorem is?
Right.
Not that useful in reality. Like, I don't think I've ever used it,
Right. Exactly.
but I know how to analyze something today. And that's the important part.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like we're focused on what you learn versus how you learn,
Yes.
and taking away that curiosity and thirst for learning, because you're being told what you need to learn, how you need to learn, and how you need to show you learned it,
Right.
and that like,
And
yeah.
it's funny. As soon as you said the curiosity, it reminded me of something that we tell the guys in the VIP program of: do more things with your kids, do more unusual things with your kids. And that same nephew, he and his
Mhm.
father love to go geocaching. And geocaching is like treasure hunting. It's
Yeah.
these like little things that people have hidden around the world. And you get the app on your phone and it's like, here, go find this little box that's got a little poem in it. And you have to go work out the clues to get there. And the experience of doing the geocaching, you know, father and son, of having those memories is very, very valuable. But it's
Yeah.
also how do you think things through? How do you discover where things are on the treasure map that I've seen grow in my nephew? And
Yeah.
there's all kinds of great opportunities out there for people to teach their kids different skills. They just have to take advantage of them. And more importantly, when you're going into court, you then have to be able to convey that to the judge. Like,
Right.
if my nephew was going through this, I would be like, make sure you've got photos of the geocache, make sure you got video, make sure you're logging it. Like, what are you doing to show that you're actually engaging with your child?
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
teach dads in the VIP program is take those normal everyday experiences and turn them into something that you can use as evidence in court to prove that you're a great dad.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. It's like when you know, what are you doing when you're doing road trips, you know? When we were
Right.
doing road trips, we didn't have the electronics. We were playing the license plate game, the animal game, whatever it is. Guess what? Most of the time I don't let my kids have the electronics in the car because we're playing all those games too, because that's what it's about. Now, there are definitely times where like, yeah, go get on your tablets because we're done, but that's a thing. And it's like my husband does it too, of like, let's, like, what are we learning? What, he loves when we go out hiking, teaching them. He was, Eagle Scout, Arrow of the Order, all that stuff. Like, teaching the
Yeah.
kids about like, what are these mushrooms and what are these trees and how do you know which direction and all that other stuff, which is so fun and so great that, people need to know that, like if that's something you're doing, it's something to bring to a court, bring to, the school of like, the other thing is like bringing that into an IEP meeting of like, well, my kid is perfectly fine when you were doing this,
Right.
knowing what to say when at home, when I'm doing homework with my child, this is what works. Like telling the school that, so then maybe the school can try doing that and making
Yeah,
it
because
that
it's going to inform how they're going to incorporate that information.
right. Right. It's also important. And that's the whole thing. Like it doesn't, like I say all the time with IEP meetings and everything, it doesn't have to be adversarial. We can
Right.
have a difference of an opinion without being adversarial. Let's sit down and truly talk and focus on the child and what's best for the child.
Yeah.
And that's what falls into place. And if I'm sure that's what you teach the dads also of like, you're not in there to convince the judge that you're right and your ex is wrong. You're in there to teach the judge what's best for the child.
Exactly. Because if it's a battle between right and wrong between mom and dad, you're probably going to lose if you're the dad. Because mom's going to start crying, the lip's going to quiver, she's going to start shaking, and she's going to pull all the emotional strings of the judge, and you're just cut off at the knees, dude. Like, you can't do that. You've got to focus on what's for the kid.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's so important. I love it. And I love that you're doing this for dads because, like, as I said, moms, we have all the support groups in the world, and dads don't. And they need them. And it's like, let's normalize it. Let's normalize that dads need support too.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's true. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And what I've seen over the few years we've been doing this is dads are making progress. I know that what I'm teaching is valuable because I get the emails and the text messages and the DM saying like, I just got out of court. I didn't get everything I wanted, but I did well and we're at 50% custody. And I'm like, awesome. If you didn't get everything you wanted, that means she didn't get everything she wanted. That's a win for both of you.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So where are you located?
So I'm in Santa Monica, California. And I've been in LA County now. I came out here after I graduated St. John's, I came out here for 3 months to figure out my future. And that was 1989. So 37 years later, I'm still here.
Yep. But you help dads nationwide, right? I'm assuming.
We do. The program is actually global. In our VIP program, I've got guys from Australia, Canada, South Africa. We've had guys from Brazil. We've had men from the Czech Republic. And because the problem of men going into court fighting for time for their kids is a global problem.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm teaching is, here's strategy. Here's how you argue to the court. Here's how you use evidence. It's not, family code section 239.3 is going to give you, doesn't matter. Like you can swap that out. That's basic ChatGPT information. How you present, how you argue, how you present yourself. That's a skill set that we're teaching dads. And it's a global issue. And we're seeing benefits across the planet from the program.
Oh, I'm sure. Because it is a nuance that we learn in law school of, like how to present, because that's what it is. As lawyers, we're not, yes, we're representing our clients, but we're also acting and presenting information to a judge and convincing a judge. And that's a very, not everybody can do it. Not all lawyers can do it. Not all lawyers are litigators, like some are transactional.
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm sure there's some I've seen. I think there was one Supreme Court case I was listening to. I'm like, is this a new lawyer? Are they really talking to a Supreme Court judge like that? And it wasn't a new lawyer. But, that's the thing. Like there's an art to everything. And learning that art is so important. And you don't need to go to law school to learn the art. You just need to learn the art of presenting it. And it's such a great, I love that you're teaching the dads, the ones that can't afford the lawyers, because it's just so, yeah.
And honestly, we've got guys who have lawyers who come in and they want to know more, because when you hire a lawyer, you're hiring someone to do something for you, but you're not generally learning what they're doing. So you're always going to be needing that lawyer until you learn the skills. So we have guys who come in and they're like, my lawyer's doing this. What does that mean? So I explain it to them. And now they know what to do. And now they know how to hold their lawyer accountable.
Yep.
Like we've got a guy who right now, he's very frustrated with his lawyer. He went through my discovery course. He's like, I don't understand why my lawyer hasn't issued subpoenas to all of her banks. Like, how hard is that? I'm like, it's about 3 minutes worth of work. Like, it's issuing a subpoena. How hard is that? Like, right? I mean, it's like you just put the buttons, nothing to it. Lawyer hasn't done it. So now he knows to go back to his lawyer and say, why aren't these done? And I want them done because I need that information. So he's able now to hold his lawyer accountable because he now knows what to do.
Right.
And I don't know if the lawyer will be around much longer, but I was like, well, they're not doing their job, honestly.
Right. But that's you're not giving legal advice. You're just telling them what to do. It's the same thing with my show and with my, YouTube channel and everything. I teach parents of what to ask at the school, what questions to ask, how to know, I hope you don't need me. Go argue yourself. You've got this. But if something's not happening, you need to know why. And it's unfortunately, even there's good lawyers, there's bad lawyers, there's good teachers, there's bad teachers. We're all different.
Right.
We all have different strategies, and you need to find what works and be able to hold accountable, because it's not like you get 20 chances at this.
Exactly. I mean, as I say, probably the average child custody case, you're going to have 20 minutes in front of the judge.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you'll probably have 20 minutes. So you got to really make that 20 minutes count.
Right.
Because you've hopefully written a really strong declaration, and the judge hopefully has read that in chambers beforehand to make your arguments. So now you've got 20 minutes to argue whatever the other side has thrown in since paperwork got filed and what's going on in the last month.
Right.
That's the important part.
Yeah. And it's important to know what is important and what's not important.
Oh, yeah. I always tell my guys, and they're sick of hearing this, but they need to hear it every single week. Tell the judge there's a beach. They don't need to know every grain of sand.
Exactly.
Don't get tripped up on that.
Right. And
I've got 5,000 text messages showing she's gatekeeping. That's great. Pick one that's really, really bad and use that.
Right. And you can say, here's an example. You can say there's 5,000 of them. Here's an example of one. You don't have to read all 5,000. Yeah. Because judges are going to get annoyed and they're going to stop listening.
And they're never going to look at it. I mean, the other thing that drives me absolutely crazy. And I'm sure if you go to court, you've seen this. Somebody files a declaration and they've got all of the text messages. They use them as the exhibits.
No.
And they've got 43 text messages on one page. It's at like 0.2% point font. Like,
right. We're not reading
with
that.
a magnifying glass, I can't read this thing. Why are you even bothering? And I tell
because
the guys,
it's
no.
a page limit.
Right. Take the one text message, blow it up really big. Judges are old. They need reading glasses. Make it big. Make it easy to read so you can get your point across. You want to put all the text messages in an exhibit, put them in an exhibit. No one's going to look at it. You're wasting paper. But the reality is, if you make it big, then a judge will see it.
Yep.
And it's it's a silly example, but it's a really effective tool when you're going into court of take the text message and blow it up big.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like there could be 50 issues that you could bring up. Know which 3 are the important ones that are going to make the difference.
Exactly.
Right? And make the move. So it's so important.
Yeah. And that's the same thing when you're dealing with your IEPs, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Pick our battles. What is worth fighting over? What is not? And what's our end goal? Like, do we need to spend 3 hours on this meeting nitpicking this IEP, or is our end goal on placement? And let's just all right, whatever, that's fine. Let's get them to placement, and then we can nitpick stuff later. Yeah, what's important. This has been so awesome, David. I am so glad you came and joined us on the show. So if people are listening and dads are like, I need him now, what's the best way to reach you?
The easiest way is you go to dadslawschool.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a big red button that says join the VIP program. That's how you get into our VIP program, and we start the coaching right away.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, David, for coming on the show and sharing all of your words of wisdom with our listeners.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Stress Free IEP. We hope today's conversation gave you new tools, insights, or just a little more peace of mind as you support your neurodivergent child. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone in your village. Next week, we will have episode 153, where Lisa Riker will talk about clarity, confidence, and IEP advocacy. You can always learn more and connect with me at schefterlaw.com or follow along on social media. Until next time, remember, you do not have to do it all alone.